Welcome to Let's Chat with Derick. I am your host, Derick Phage, and today I am pleased to introduce to you an incredible guest on the show. He is a Juno Award-winning and certified gold-selling international R&B artist. Dru joins me on the show. Dru, how are you?
I am amazing. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate you taking the time.
It's my pleasure.
So let's talk about just personally, how have you been coping during the pandemic so far?
I'm okay, man. I have my daughter here. She's like 15 years old, and she's been doing her online studies, and I've been keeping her busy. We've been, going outside, throwing the football, playing soccer in the backyard. Just staying positive. And as for me and my work, my music, I've been just kept putting out music. I'm still promoting online. Not doing as many shows, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
I should be hopefully doing some online shows, and we're setting up for that. But yeah, overall, just staying positive. There's been some good news about the numbers are starting to thin out a little bit. Doug Ford, giving us some good news. So I'm just just staying close to just staying positive and staying focused on that.
Yeah, it's good to hear. Well, let's talk about your music. Take us back in time and how your love of music began. Was this something your family was always into, or your family is your family musical family?
Yeah, my family is a musical family. I was raised in the church, so my parents and my older brother was singing in the choir and stuff like that. I never really sang in the choir coming up, but it was that influence of music from a young age. We used to listen to Jackson 5 albums,
Nice.
and Temptations, and my older brother, who's also a singer, Dru Grange, big up to my brother. He as a little boy, young brothers, you clown each other, you make fun of each other, and he heard me singing Jackson 5, The Girl Is Mine. I think it was.
Nice.
No, My Girl, My Girl.
Okay.
When he was a lot younger and I was a lot younger then, and my brother overheard me singing along to it. My girl, talking about my girl. And he was like, I'm Dru, but he called me Andrew back then.
Right.
Like, Andrew, you have a good voice. And for, your older brother to be clowning you every chance he gets to actually tell you something, you're actually good at something. From a young age, maybe it was around 9 years old or something like that, 9 or 10. And I really held on to that. And, for my older brother to say that to me, it really affected me in a way that I believed him,
Right. Yeah,
And
of course.
so that's kind of how it began. And then, at 13, the talent shows started in school, and that's kind of what birthed it. And when I heard the audience go crazy, that's what had me hooked. I grew up a really shy kid.
Really?
I used to stutter. I would have never been able to have this conversation with you right now. I would have been stuttering my butt off, just out of nerves and nervousness and shyness. So like the music really pulled me out of that. It forced me to break out of my shyness and really helped me with, even public speaking and just to really get confidence.
So
yeah.
when did you know, Dru, that you wanted to make it your career?
I knew I did Harmony of the Soul, which was there's back in the ninth grade, each high school. I went to St. Francis Xavier High School. Big up to Xavier. All the high schools would do their talent shows, and then they would choose the best couple of performances out of each school to do something called Harmony of the Soul. So they bring them all together and they do a big show. And so that's how it was. I did my little talent show. I sang a New Edition song. And after I performed, the audience went crazy and they asked me to do Harmony of the Soul. This was around the same time that we were putting my group, in essence, together. So we weren't a group yet.
Okay.
But we were kind of putting the members together. So it was, at Harmony of the Soul, I had some of my boys that were going to be in the group. They all came to support me. So it's all the different high schools and, the different girls from different high schools. And,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
it was exciting for me. I was like, wow, like this is so cool. So when they announced me, I didn't have any background music. I didn't have a band. I didn't have anything. So I sang My Last Cry by Brian McKnight,
So you did this a cappella?
a cappella,
Wow.
right? Complete a cappella. So there's a part in the song where Brian goes, I just woke up, so don't mind my voice right now, but it's, he goes, I'm gonna dry my eyes right after I finish my one last cry. And the crowd went nuts. The crowd went crazy. And then I brought it up another octave. I'm gonna dry my eyes. And I brought it up higher. I can't do it right now. When I did that, the crowd went nuts. My boys were like at the front of the stage, slamming on the stage. That's my boy. He's in my group. He's in my group. That's my boy. Girls were going nuts. They were running to the stage, and it was just they tell the story a lot better than. But it was just that was the moment when I was like, wow, this is what it's like. Like
yeah,
crazy.
and then you get the energy from the crowd, right? I mean, I can imagine what that was like. I mean, I did a lot of variety shows on the other end. I was more on the theater side, and I was on the improv team and Improv Olympics. And yeah, when you get those laughs, when you get that huge round of applause, it just feeds you, doesn't it?
It's like a drug. It's like there's no drug like that. The adrenaline is just, you want that. Like that's the moment I think us as artists we reach for that moment for the rest of our career. Just that feeling. Yeah, man.
And then you decided to go solo. So you put out your first solo album back in 2008. Why the decision to go solo?
We were signed to BMG Canada, and that's when Keisha Shante was signed, Sean Desmond, Ghetto Concept, the Rascals. So we were all in that same time period, and I'm not really sure exactly the business of it back then of why BMG dropped their whole urban roster. So we got dropped. Keisha Shante, Sean Desmond, Ghetto Concept, Rascals. We all got dropped at the same time. And this is right after, in essence, had won our Juno. So we were kind of like, we couldn't understand, okay, we just won a Juno for BMG. Why would you drop us at this time? We just finished recording our new album that was about to come out, and it never came out. They dropped the whole roster. So I had just had my daughter. My daughter was maybe a year or two at the time.
Okay.
It was just a horrible time for, just as a father, as a new father, to like, it's like you just lost your job.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And then I guess another label didn't pick you guys up or couldn't. I know some of these contracts are so difficult to, from other friends that have been in the industry. It's not as easy as people might think.
No, it's not. We had some opportunities. We were managed by Farley Flex at the time. I don't know if you remember Farley Flex from Idol. He was our last manager as a group. So he had taken our music and went to the States. And he was trying to find us a new deal, like a U.S. deal. We didn't want another Canadian deal. Not that we love Canada, obviously, but the push and the money and just the support from the Canadian labels at that time for urban music wasn't where it is now.
Yeah. No, I can understand that. For sure.
Yeah. So we didn't want a Canadian label, so we asked Farley, go to the States, bring our package, see if you can come back with a U.S. deal. And that's where there was a little bit of discrepancy. So there's 5 of us in the group. We had one main person that was like the spokesperson, because no one liked to talk to all 5 of us at once. Too much.
Okay.
So we had one main spokesperson. So I've never really told this story, but I'm going to tell it now.
This is an exclusive. I love it.
It's an exclusive. So Farley Flex had come back from the States and he spoke to our main spokesperson in the group, one of the members of the group. I won't say who it is. And the information that Farley Flex came back with, which no one had told me, was that they like Dru, they like the lead singer, they want to do a deal with Dru.
Okay.
I didn't know this. So maybe a year had passed, and label executive at the time, I'll leave his name out of it too, he hit me up and he's like, Dru, whatever happened with that deal that Farley found for you in the US? Did you ever, this is a year later. So I'm like, what deal? I didn't know about any deal. So he's like, yeah, your group member didn't tell you that, when Farley came back from New York, blah, blah, blah. And
wow.
the whole story. So I was like, my daughter is now 3 years old. We're trying to make it happen, trying to find different opportunities, different things. And that really was that really hit me hard. So I hit up the member of the group, and we had a big argument about it. And he was like, oh, I know you're going to go solo anyway, and blah, blah, blah. And he made the choice for me. So shortly after that, I held a group meeting, and I kind of told the rest of the group, if he's staying in the group, I'm leaving the group. And that was the start of me making a solo move. So that's kind of what kind of initiated it. Shortly after that, I saw an email that was sent out from the group members saying that they're looking for a new lead singer. So, and that was it.
So the decision was almost made for you, really, right?
So the rest of the group was a little bothered by how he acted, because he kind of made the decision for them also. But that was the start of it. So, in hindsight, if this was in 2007, love the guys. There's no hard feelings.
Oh, good.
But that's what pushed me to make the solo move. And, sometimes you need that. You need weird circumstances to come up for you to see, what your vision is and where you're supposed to be. And, right after that, I put the solo album out, and the numbers showed that it was the right move.
Yeah, here you are today with a brand new single called YNF. Tell us a little bit about this song.
YNF is funny because it still links back to the group. So YNF is short for You'll Never Find, and You'll Never Find 20 years ago was in essence his biggest hit. We were signed to Funkmaster Flex. So just to kind of make the story all make sense.
Yeah.
Before BMG dropped us, we had went to New York first and met with Funkmaster Flex, and he had sent us some music. He sent us back some music to Toronto when we came home. He's like, you guys write some songs to these beats. Quiet Storm beat, Mobb Deep, Bling Bling, Cash Money Brothers, and Nas. Nas, The World Is Mine. Those instrumentals he sent us. So we wrote You'll Never Find over the Quiet Storm beat, Mobb Deep, Quiet Storm, and sent it back to him, and he lost his mind, and he started playing it on Hot 97. So that actually turned, and then he put it on his 60th album. That was his gold-selling album at the time. So it was one of the biggest songs on. So it's one of the biggest songs of my career, of our group's career, and it's now the 20-year anniversary. So, a lot of people like Tory Lanez and Drake and a lot of, artists of today are sampling a lot of big R&B hits from 20 years ago.
Right.
So I was like, that's the era that I love. That's the era, 90s R&B, and, that's my era. So I was like, okay, let me start going through songs from that era that maybe I could take from, sample from, do something cool like what these other artists have been doing, younger artists. So I start going through it. I'm like, hold on a second. I'm like, we have a hit. We have a smash, that didn't get the real push that it really deserved, even though it still went gold on Funkmaster Flex's album. There was never any visuals. We never shot a video for it. It was never, people didn't connect the face to that song. So I thought about it. I hit up some of the guys in the group. I'm like, how would you guys feel? Like we all own the song, own rights to the song. So I'm like, how would you guys feel if I did a remake to it, rewrite the verses and kind of reintroduce it for this generation? And, it'll still have the nostalgia of the, the people that knew the song from before, and I'll have like this new audience. So they're like, Dru, that might be kind of cool. Obviously we still got to get our points as songwriters.
Yeah.
Right? But I was like, yeah, I don't even care about the money. I'll give us, I'll just set up the splits. However, I don't care about that. I just really feel like this song could do something now if we were to released it 20 years later. So that's what we did. I rewrote the verses. Shout out to Key of Omar, who co-wrote the verses for me. And yeah, man, we put it out April 7th, and it's the streams are going crazy right now. We're almost at 100,000 streams in less than a month. And we shot the video in Russia, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So we shot the video in Russia. So now the
What
world.
was that like? Tell me, like, why Russia? I know you were on The Voice Russia. Is it because you were there at the time and it just happened to work that way?
It was a combination of that. I just had never seen an R&B video shot in Russia, first of all, and kind of just show how beautiful Russia is, Moscow is. Like, people, you know, we have a perception of certain places in the world because of media over all these years, and we have a perception of what we think it is. But when I got there and I saw Moscow, my mind was blown how beautiful
the architecture, right? The architecture is just fascinating.
Insane. It has this antique historical just beauty, you know. It blew me away. So I mean, the fact that I was there for The Voice Russia, and you know, that was in its own, that's a whole nother story that we can get into. But I just thought it would be cool just to show the rest of the world and show Canada, just, you know, that just how beautiful Russia is and Moscow, and to do an R&B video in that setting, you know, there's a lot of driving in the video.
Okay.
I don't want to give away too much, but there's some dope cars. It shows the nighttime, how the city looks at night, how it's so lit up, and it just has this this dope kind of 007 feel to it.
Yeah. Oh no, I can imagine. I've never visited. I mean, it's certainly one of those places on my bucket list. That's for sure.
Oh, it's insanely beautiful. Like, beautiful. Moscow's beautiful. I haven't seen. I heard St. Petersburg is actually really, really beautiful. I haven't been there yet. But shooting the video there was just amazing. It was a little cold. It was a little cold. We shot in November.
Oh yeah, of course it would be cold in November.
It was pretty cold, but we got a beautiful day when we shot. The weather was, you know, clear. The nighttime shots was just beautiful, and there's a real edge and a danger to the video also. So I think I
can't wait to see it. And so it's coming out. We don't know exactly the date quite yet, but probably in the coming months, right?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay because we're editing here. You know, the Europe to Canada adapter situation of our hard drive. So because of COVID right now, we've ordered an adapter. Just to give everyone an insight, we ordered the adapter. There was a problem with the ordering because of COVID, so now we have to wait. We have to reorder the adapter. Then we can finish editing, and we can go from there. So
nice.
Hopefully in the next 2 weeks or so.
Well, you mentioned your experience, The Voice Russia. That's a story unto itself. So let's talk a little bit about that. And how did that come to be?
You know, I took a couple of years off to raise my daughter, and she's 15 now. And she's been now pushing me like, okay, Daddy, you know what? I'm good. Go do what you need to do, you know? So
right.
with her, you know, being my engine and like pushing me, it really gave me just that drive to just try something new. Like, let's break out of the box and try something new. Like, everyone thinks that, you know, you're an R&B singer, so you have to go to, you know, Atlanta, or you have to go to New York or LA or to the US, you know. But I find that the US is so overly saturated with everyone trying to go there and make it. I'm going to go to the US and make it, you know. Yeah. But some people, and I feel like artists don't realize, especially here, that the world is a big place and the world loves R&B music. It's not just the US or Canada, or, you know, the world loves, it's a timeless music. And I feel like artists we're so tunnel vision on China.
No, I agree. Absolutely.
So I was working, which I do still work with, a school of the arts called Star School Academy.
Okay.
And it's predominantly it's predominantly Russian kids. And how I heard about the school was a friend of mine who's Russian, was like, Dru, you should come check out the school. They're looking for some new music for their finale show.
Okay.
The school like to do a finale every year, and usually they do classical music, and these are kids doing classical music. So like, you know what? They want to do something new, fresh. Would you be open to come and writing them a song for their finale? Right. So that's kind of how it began. So myself, my producer Hollywood Pro, we wrote them a song called "You Can Fly."
Okay.
It's it's a inspirational song. I ended up performing it with the kids at their finale, which I love the kids at Star School. Shout out to the kids at Star School Academy. Love them.
This is a great story. I love that you got to perform with them too. It's amazing.
It was amazing. It wasn't planned. I didn't plan to, but then teaching them the song over time, I just kind of just love these kids, and they asked me if I would sing it with them. I'm like, I sang just the intro, just an introduction, and then I let them take it.
Okay.
So it was there. There's one of the teachers at their school, Stanislav, who's one of their vocal teachers. He was in The Voice Russia in season 3, I think, 2 or 3.
Okay, he was a competitor, you mean?
He was a competitor, and he's an amazing opera singer. Stanis is an amazing vocalist. So he was like, Dru, they like international artists, and it might be kind of cool. Maybe you should just go audition, try it out. I'm like, how am I getting to Russia, brother? Like, it's not just So a friend of mine kind of helped me, put some funds together, and just go and see what happens. And I went there. I sang Stevie Wonder, "Isn't She Lovely" for the closed audition, and I flew back. I was in Russia for 24 hours.
Oh, really?
Literally, I flew there.
That kind of turnaround. Okay.
Yeah, because it's not cheap to stay out there, and I didn't really know what was going to happen, so we didn't want to incur all these expenses to just go and audition.
Of course.
So I actually stayed with a family friend there, so I didn't have to pay for hotel, and so just went for 24 hours, auditioned, came home, and I saw the email in my email that they've accepted me and they want me to come back. So that's what started it, and they asked me to record a bunch of different songs that I love to do and send them a video of what songs they think, and that's how it began. I went back, I did the blind audition, which is where all the chairs turn.
Yeah.
And 3 out of the 4 chairs turned. I ended up singing "Overjoyed" by Stevie Wonder. I love Stevie Wonder. So
yeah, me too.
Blessed. Thank you, Stevie. Your song worked. And so 3 out of 4 chairs turned. I chose Paulina Gagarina, she's a huge star in Russia, about 8 million followers on Instagram. So she was my coach. Shout out to Paulina, thank you. And I went back. I made it to the semifinals. I was one of 2 black guys in the whole. What I wanted, right? I want to stand out, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was the whole point of me going. So now, because I got so far in the show, there's about 40 million viewers a week. So so I got to then go back and do more shows, and now I'm building a fan base now, and I'm known as, one of the black guys from The Voice Russia. And that's perfect, right? I have no problem being the token black guy in the room. I love it. So,
but you're right. It's interesting because you've seen different artists over the years that are able to, grow a huge following in a country that you're probably not expecting. You look at some of the Asian countries as well, and how they embrace artists that couldn't make it in Canada, couldn't make it in America, but as you said, if you look sort of off the beaten path, sometimes you can find these incredible opportunities. Before I run out of time with you, Dru, I want to mention you do have an album coming out.
Yes.
Is it still slated for the summer, or because of everything that's going on, just keep an eye out for it? It could move into fall.
No, I'm gonna, because I've changed the date many times. So now this is the new date, is June 26th.
Okay.
The Rebirth 2020 is the title of the album. YNF is the first single. We have another single dropping called "Can't Get Enough." that you guys are gonna love. It's very 90s R&B. It's kind of in the lane of the Bruno Mars dripping with finesse, that 90s,
Nice.
right? It has that feel, and
Okay.
you know, there's not a lot of artists right now I feel like can really delve into that lane. So I know I can. So that's what I'm gonna do. So
Awesome.
um,
Looking forward to it.
yeah, man. So a lot of energy. There'll be a new video for that single also. I'm hoping COVID would let up a little bit by the end of June, early July, so I could do a release event.
Yeah.
But if not, man, we're just gonna keep this moving, keep putting out music, and yeah, man, just stay positive. This COVID will be done sooner or later.
Well, and I should mention to everybody too. I mean, you're on all the social media platforms, so if they want to follow you, just look you up on Instagram, on Facebook, Twitter. You're all over the place.
Yeah, I'm all over. You can follow me at Dru Grange, DruGrange, on all platforms, and hit up my website, drugrange.com.
Awesome, Dru. Thank you so much, and all the best to you and your daughter.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, take care of yourself.
Take care.
Ciao.
Bye.